Honestly, I can't recommend A Hero enough. It was fantastic. It was over 2 hours of wonderful drama. Hey everyone, this is David Starr from Watch or Pass. I'm here to talk to you about A Hero, which I think is coming in January 2022. But I just saw it thanks to some award screenings, and it is an amazing movie. This is Iran's Oscar contender for Best International Film, and it has I imagine, a very legit shot. It premiered at Cannes and was well received there, and for good reason. I just saw it, and it is fantastic. It is an amazing film. My hot take is it's a masterpiece. It starts with a relatively simple premise and just builds and builds on the complexity, just like in real life. It really does feel kind of like a slice of life if it was a little bit less heavy, but this film has layers on the drama throughout, and it does a really amazing job. It takes very innocuous things and kind of builds them as this story kind of steamrolls and gets outside of all the characters' control. So just watch this movie whenever you can. It is really good. You will not be disappointed. I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the film, a little bit more in depth about things I liked about it. It'll be a fairly quick review. I'm going to try not to spoil too much, but there might be some spoilers as I talk about points in the film. So if you don't want to know anything about the movie, and you might not, because this film does a really great job of throwing some curveballs, throwing some surprises, and also taking relatively innocuous things that you see at the start of the film and having those turn into questions and into potential issues later on down. So a lot of the film is just kind of building on top of each other. So this might not be something you want to know about. Jump out now, go watch the movie, and then come back after you've seen it. But if you want to just keep going, you want to know a little bit more about the film, maybe you already seen it, maybe you saw it at Cannes, then let's keep going. A Hero is written and directed by Asghar Farhadi, and I apologize, I probably butchered the name. This is up for Oscar contentions. If he wins, it'll be his third Oscar. He won twice previously, so this will be his third Oscar, and I think there's a legit shot here. The film kind of stars Rahim, who is in a debtor's prison, and through some circumstances, he comes into possession of a purse that has a bunch of gold coins in it, and so I think he's in prison because of a debt of, I think, 150,000 tomans, I believe what the currency was. And from finding this bag with these gold coins, he could get about half of that debt taken care of. And so maybe he get out of this prison because he's in this prison because he can't pay the debt. He ends up trying to, and then circumstances prevent him from selling this gold to pay his debt. And then he has a kind of change of heart and decides to go try to find the owner. He finds the owner, returns the purse, everything's great. And he starts to get some public recognition. People start to kind of recognize him for this good deed. And as you would imagine, no good deed goes unpunished. And this then causes all sorts of other issues down the line. So I'm going to talk to you about things I like specifically about this film. I think there will be a spoiler in here, and I'll try to say when that spoiler actually happens. But again, if you don't want to know anything about the film, turn this off now. First thing I loved is the story. The story is such a great kind of simple story that then builds on top of it. What I loved most is that the film takes these fairly innocuous statements and things at the start that you wouldn't even think anything of, things that people say, reasons for people to do things. And then as the film builds and as the story kind of grows out of control, those then get scrutinized and get looked at, and maybe some inconsistencies in those earlier statements that didn't seem that big of an issue now become a big issue, or maybe something that was forgotten earlier on now comes to the forefront. And it was just a really wonderful exercise in both storytelling and also attention to detail, because there were little things that you just don't even think about at the start that then become major albatrosses to these characters later on. And so I was just enthralled. Like the film is over 2 hours. I loved it. There was no part where I was bored, even though the film is fairly slow. The drama is so good, and the characters and the situation feels so relatable just because everything is so well built out. The second thing I loved are the performances, and especially the performance by Amir Jadidi, who plays Rahim. He was like, every character in this film is well acted and seems well realized, but he is kind of on another level. Like, I loved his character. It was very innocuous. He was very kind of had this gentle demeanor and this nice persona. But then occasionally there were flashes of something else, maybe a little bit of rage, maybe a little bit of anger or embarrassment. And his character was so good at like subtly putting those in, and then sometimes cause you to question his character, even though there shouldn't have been anything. And that's part of the beauty of this film, is throughout you're kind of wondering if something else happened, if there's some other ulterior motive, even though you generally know the story. Because of this situation, you start to question what happened before and question the characters. And Jadidi does such a great job of kind of staying true to Rahim's character, but then introducing little bits of doubt here and there. And towards the end, when the story really gets out of control, you can feel just the anguish and how this is affecting him, and the weight of this situation on him and on the rest of the family. And the third thing I loved is just the tragedy. I mean, this movie is really kind of pure tragedy. It has a simple, easy to understand situation that then kind of gets out of control. And because of that, things happen. Characters have regrets, have bad things happen to them. The situation, the overall situation worsens, and it's heart-wrenching. It's not like it's sad. It's not like tear-jerking, but you feel for these characters and just this whole scenario that has been built. The fourth thing I love, four things, is the irony, and this is where that spoiler is going to be. So, well, I loved this, and I mean, I shouldn't have loved it, but it really was well done. What happens is Rahim is praised for his honesty because he returns these gold coins to the original owner, but then people start questioning him. He needs to they wonder, like, who's the owner? Did he make this up? So he tries to find the owner. He looks far and wide to find the owner, and his personal freedom and his livelihood are kind of tied to finding this owner, because people are questioning him and wondering, if he made it up, if he should be free, things like that. And so it becomes a pretty high stakes situation for him to find this owner. And eventually he can't find her. You find out early on that she's a little worried about this going public because she's been saving these gold coins and she doesn't want other people to know about them. So she doesn't want to be found. She doesn't want to be public. She kind of made sure of that. And so since he can't find her, but because it's all tied together, he then has to enlist the help of his friend slash girlfriend slash fiance to play her, to kind of prove how honest he was. So he has to put up this ruse to show his honesty. And it was such a wonderfully ironic situation that then may or may not come back to bite them. And the last thing I really loved is, and this is the fifth thing, again, this movie is very good, is just the relatability of the story. I mean, even though this is set, I believe it's set in Iran, even though it's set there, and the characters and the customs are a little different, and some of the interactions are different, like the whole kind of the universality of the story, where you have a good deed and then it gets attention and then it gets more attention and then people scrutinize it, and then maybe you've got some people on social media calling into question the good deed, and you have people analyzing things about the good deed and coming up with inconsistencies or alleged inconsistencies, and having that spiral down. Like, that felt like a situation that could take place almost anywhere, and especially here in America. And so I just love that I'm watching this story set in another country, and this film really gives you a window into this country and this, at least this person's life. Like, I loved being able to just spend time in this country and get an idea of what life might be like, at least see some of the customs, see kind of some of the interaction, get a sense of just how this family lived. And then as you're watching it, you're thinking, like, this is actually something that feels very eerily similar to things that are happening in America, and I'm sure happening in other countries as well. And so I thought that relatability, the universality of the story, was another thing that I really loved. And I really thought that this was just a very, very well put together scenario and a very smartly written situation. There was really nothing I didn't like. So, I mean, I guess, yeah, there's nothing I didn't like. Just watch this film. The film is A Hero. I believe it's coming in January 2022. There might be some screeners around Oscar time for Oscar contenders to let you see it. Definitely go out and check it out. This movie is very, very good. You will not be disappointed. So thanks so much for watching. If you liked this review, please like and subscribe to this channel. It helps me out a lot. Make sure all my new content goes straight to you. And please check out my other content. I've got other movie reviews, interviews, unboxing videos, and a weekly movie recommendation. Thank you.